next up? Berta and Muriel?
Okay, well, thanks, Eugene. Thanks for the opportunity today, and thanks also to the Tech ID innovation ecosystem. We'll make sure that your time is well invested with us today. We wanted to provide to you all an introduction on the SBIR program and offer some guidance and tips on the best ways actually to secure government funding. We'll go through the agenda that we have today for you in this speech that I'm going to share with my colleague Berta. And we're going to offer you a brief overview of the SBIR program. We're going then to share indications regarding also the eligibility criteria, so whether there is a good fit out there for you within the series of opportunity unlocked by the SBIR. We're going to also go through the funding windows that are yet to be opened and that are left for 2024, offering, as I was anticipating, some suggestions, some guidance on the best way actually to secure these funds. And yeah, I put this Q&A session at the end, but actually we would be happy to hear from you as we talk. So don't be shy and raise your hands and pop some questions as soon as you have them. Today I'm going to share the floor with Berta, which is our Inspiralia expert, particularly for NIH funds. While myself, I am instead providing guidance with respect to the NSF program and a series of other programs related to agencies that do not belong to the Department of Defense. So we call this non-DoD normally. I'd say that then you will have one main question. So what's Inspiralia? What's Inspiralia US? And well, Inspiralia US is actually the US branch of the Inspiralia Group, which has headquarters in Europe, in Madrid. But Inspiralia US, our US division, instead has headquarters in Miami, but we have also premises in Boston. We are something I'd say in between a consulting firm and a new product, an innovation development firm company. Why that? I believe that this depends particularly on the background of our employees, because the majority of them has, PhD degrees. They are engineers, med technicians, biotechnicians, and basically they speak the same language of all the PIs, the project investigators that normally lead and coordinate main application and propose main technologies to the different SBIR funding opportunities. And this is possibly the secret that helped us raise that fantastic number that you've seen in the slide, that is $520 million that we managed to secure throughout these years, ever since we incorporated back in the days in Europe and then 5 years ago in the US. We offer normally a 360-degree approach. What means that we try to match what's the maturity degree of your technology with the funding opportunities that are available out there. And lucky enough, I mean, we managed with the majority of our clients to endure a collaboration that spanned over many years, because as they grow, we managed to find opportunities that are assisting their growth path. I believe that now we can jump to the SBIR. And
this is Eugene. I'm going to interrupt you just for 1 second here.
Please.
So is this a two-way street? Can the federal government come to you and seeking solutions, or do you only represent your clients to identify solutions or to identify funding?
Well, that's normally how we do. And normally we have clients or, companies approaching and asking, what's out there for me? In other cases, it's us that accordingly, the opportunities that are available, we reach out to entities Maybe, because we do attend several workshop, panels, competition, and it's easy for us, let's say, after all these years, to spot what are, let's say, the companies that are proposing radical innovation that might tick all the boxes in terms of eligibility. And so we can propose opportunities to them and see whether this could be of interest. In the majority of the cases, there's an interest. As soon as we talk about funds, non-equity funds, so we're not talking of loans, which means that we don't have to pay back funds that are covering 100% of your project cost. Normally there's a pretty good chance that people are interested, that companies are interested in this type of funds.
But do you promote your portfolio so that someone within the federal government could look at it and say, do you provide technologies or solutions of interest to them?
Well, not really to the federal bodies, to the federal entities. No, let's say that we fly under the radar. It's I guess that particularly in the past, we have worked on procurements and innovation contract. So in those occasion and for those typology of let's say funding opportunity based on contracts with the different institution, we have engaged in forms of collaboration with the official bodies. But we noticed that there was more attention and more interest in this call for proposal rather than, direct contract. That's...
That answers my questions. Thank you.
Okay, all right, thank you. Okay, we can continue then with offering an overview. I was already anticipating as I was replying to Eugene why it's concentrating a lot of interest the SBIR and the reason why this of its popularity. It's because of these 3 points, because the funds that they are unlocking are taking zero equity, basically. And these are grants, so they're not loans, so you don't have to pay them back, and they're covering 100% of your project cost, direct cost, indirect cost, the overhead, and it allows you also a small commercial margin. So you don't have to stop entirely your activity during the length of the execution of your project. You can actually generate revenues, which is a plus. So it allows you to do R&D and business at once. So that's pretty unique, I need to say, different from the European instead funds. In terms of eligibility, so what does it take for a company to be eligible for this typology of federal funds? First thing first, so you need to be a profit small business and having less than 500 employees. So that's what classifies as small business concentration in the States. Then the company should be 50% owned by US citizens or permanent residents, and that's pretty strict in terms of requirements. You need to have staff. You need to have at least one WT part-time employee that you can list amongst your personal assets, and your principal investigator, so the person that is going to coordinate the project, needs to be employed at least 51% of his time by the company. You need to have facilities. So you need to have a physical office with a lease, and the R&D activities that you are promoting in your project should happen on American soil. These are the major eligibility requirements when we're talking about the company itself. Then I'd like to offer an overview of what are the funding opportunities, the calendar, let's say, of funding opportunities ahead. Well, it's true. May, it's over, so that's not to be counted. But we have several months, and particularly, I'd say September is particularly interesting. Just the other day, we received a notification that National Science Foundation has revealed the next deadlines for the end of the year. And so we're going to have NSF deadline in September and November as well. You see, September is going to be a particularly crowded month because there's going to be AFWorks deadline, USDA. The USDA is the Department of Agriculture. Other interesting funding opportunity under that framework. NIH, 5th of September, there's going to be deadline both for phase 1 and phase 2 of the SBIR funding scheme and NSF, as I was mentioning. October, there's going to be DoD and the Department of Energy deadline for phase 1, and then following several others, as you see. In August, there is also an interesting window. In fact, right now, there's also a webinar, the official webinar of the Environmental Protection Department. And they are unveiling what are going to be the topic for this agency funds as well. And they are falling in August. So you see, it's pretty much populated as a calendar. All this funding scheme can actually grouped under two main categories, and these categories basically are speaking about the approaches that you can shape in order to apply to this funds. So you have top-down approach for funds that are particularly related to the Department of Agriculture, Energy, and the Environmental Protection Agency. How does it work? So normally there are topics and subtopics that are defined with goals that should be achieved. And so the projects are shaped in response to these topics that have been highlighted by the program. So this is the reason why it's called top-down. There are instead other programs falling under NIH, NSF, AFWorks, where instead there's not really any specific indication. So there is room for any sort of project belonging to whatever category, basically. Let's say that either there is no constraint or the topics are so broad. And for this, I mean, basically, it seems that there is no limitation that we can list for this program. And from this, it comes to this classification of the bottom-up approach. Moving on, we can offer then a small recap on whether the SBIR could be a good fit. Starting from the company eligibility criteria, a few questions that you can pose to yourself. Do I have the staff? Do I have the facility? And moreover, do I have the time in order, to prepare this application? So if the answer are yes, then okay, we can pass and review the quality of your project idea, of your technology. And then this project idea should cope with three main requirements. It should be novel. What does it mean that? That you have listed a series of technical risks that in case they happen, these are going to be no-go. And why this? Because of the extreme experimental characters of the action that you are embracing in order to develop your activity further. So if you can tick this box, then we can move to the second point, which is the revolutionarity of this idea. What does it mean that? It means that you are the first one and the only one, actually, that is proposing a similar approach in terms of development of the technology that you are working on. So there is no one out there that is proposing something similar to what you're doing. And then focused. Focus is pretty straightforward, and it means that Have you made an exercise in terms of fixing what are the next milestones in terms of technology development, in terms of commercialization plan? Have you started creating alliances in order for you to progress with your scheme? So if the answer is yes to all these 6 points, I believe that we're good to go. We can move on then with the SBIR. And by moving on, it means that we can pass and review the first program that we wanted to offer some guidance and insights to you today. And it is the NSF, so the National Science Foundation. How this program is working and what it is funding. It funds early stage technology that are at a translational stage, meaning that they have not yet reached a proof of concept, a proof of evidence that the technology is actually working. So this means that you don't have any indicators that your technology is technically viable yet. You need a funding push. You need a coverage in terms of funds, in terms of investment that will allow you actually to get to that stage. And the National Science Foundation is providing you with that opportunity. The program is shaped around 3 phases, and one is propedeutic to the other. This means that you can't jump directly to a phase 2 or a phase 2B, but you need to start from a phase 1. A phase 1 normally is covering projects that go from 6 to 12 months, and whose outcome is going to be a proof of concept, a proof of evidence that your technology is working. These are R&D. These are R&D projects, so there's a lot of room for R&D activities and also some engineering tasks and actions. The maximum funding that is associated to this phase 1 is of $275,000. This amount might vary because we're waiting for the official FOA, so for the funding opportunity announcement that is going to be revealed anytime, I believe, from now. It might be superior to that amount. There are some rumors that this would increase to $300,000. Then once you have completed this phase 1, you are entitled, if you want, of course, to apply to a phase 2. And in the phase 2, you can keep on working on R&D aspects and fine-tuning of your technologies, making room then for the commercial deployment of your product, of your system solution that you are proposing. You have 24 months in order to secure this work, and a maximum of $1 million in order to run all the activities that we will list in the work program. Finally, we have a phase 2B, which is a further incentivization to your R&D program, and basically is going to support you with the matching fund of any possible funds that you will achieve outside, so from third parties, thanks to the funds that you have raised under the NSF program. And the maximum funds that you can get in this phase is of $500,000. We can then pass and review what is the timeline, what are the next open windows to submit the application. We haven't yet updated the application because it's a news, let's say it's such a fresh news that we haven't had the chance to update it. But the next window of opportunity, as I mentioned before, are going to be that of September 4th and November 6th. Normally, there are 4 months between each open window. But this year it has been a bit hectic, the funding scheme, and so there have been 4 months followed by 2 months. So it was slightly unpredictable. We are not so certain that this is going to be kept in 2025, or maybe they are coming back to this windows of 4 months separating each funding opportunities. And regarding the decision time, yeah, okay, yeah, we start working on the pitch deck, and then normally it takes 4 weeks in order to receive an indication of whether the pitch deck has been approved or not. So once we receive this notification, we're good to go. We're good to start. Normally, it takes 6 to 8 weeks to work and prepare an application, a full-length application. And then once the application is submitted, you can count 6 months to the decision, to the reception of the final decision regarding the project. So whether it is a go or a no-go. All in all, it goes from 6 to 8 months. From the submission of the pitch deck to the starting of the project. The topics, as I was mentioning before, the NSF could be considered a program that is following a bottom-up approach. It is partially so. As you see, there are topics, but they are so broad and so many that basically we can consider this embracing this bottom-up approach. There is even a topic other, which basically is embracing all those projects that are not falling in any of these topics listed here. But as you see, they go from advanced materials to space to Internet of Things, cybersecurity and authentication. Just to give you a short overview on how broad and the extent, let's say, of this funds covering this topic areas. I wanted then to share a couple of case studies. I'm going to be brief. We're not going too much in details, but just to give you an indication that possibly any type of company could benefit and could be granted an SBIR NSF fund. I will start from Eye Therapy, which is a company incorporated back in the days in 2014. And when we prepared the application, they counted on 6 employees. They didn't raise any funds at that time, only $65,000. But anyway, we submitted the application, which is building a novel interactive AI software platform to improve communication in autism, submitted to the topic Learning and Cognition Technologies. The project got funded with $255,000. Duration of the project was of 15 months. The objective was that of developing technologies for treating speech impairment in the autism spectrum disorder. In terms of the application, we built the project around the AI enabling technologies, including also some automated speech development assessment. In all this project, that there should be a specific enabling technologies around which we're building, let's say, the project and the narrative of the project. The methodology that we have worked out for this application consisted in collecting labeled data in order to create this training corpus for machine learning algorithms. So this was a key, and it was the unique trait and differentiator for this company that allowed them to get funded. How Inspiralia supported them? Of course, we took care of the electronic registration, which then allows to submit the application. We deployed the project narrative. We took care of the budget preparation. We put also clients in contact with the providers and stakeholders that eventually produce some letters of interest, and we took care of the award and post-award management. So this is a classic example of a phase one winner. The second example instead goes in a different direction, talking of Stratus Lab Inc. This is a company incorporated in 2016, so not that different compared to iTherapy. But they counted already 34 employees, and they've raised, by the time we submitted their phase two application, beware, phase two, already more than $9 million they have secured. So we submitted the project that consists in a smart wearable platform for remote respiratory monitoring. The project got the award of $990,000. The length of the project was a classic 24 months. The goal, the objectives were that of developing an electronic stethoscope for at-home respiratory diagnosis for safer pulmonary rehab. In this respect, we developed the project around the development of predictive algorithm. Whose scope was that of enhancing respiratory care. And we developed the application around the fine-tuning of certain R&D points that we needed to address after the winning of a phase one. So we implemented a noise reduction and design improvement in order to address telemonitoring challenges. For instance, this is an example of an activities that could be eligible for a phase two work program. In this case, we supported the client working out particularly their market opportunity, product and competition aspect, finance and revenue model, extensive budget preparation. The phase two has to deal with all these aspects, and there is plenty of room in order to address all these points at best. And of course, once again, we took care of the awards and post-award management. So I would close then this focus on the NSF program with a recap. A recap on what's the ideal candidate and what's also the ideal technology profile. So the ideal candidate should be a small business from 1 to 10 employees, particularly with respect to phase one application, that they found themselves at an early stage. So they have incorporated no more than 4 to 5 years ago. They are at the pre-revenue stage, or they have collected revenues that can count for less than 1 million all in all. In terms of funding, the ideal stage is that bootstrapping or seed. So they have gathered less than 10 million, more or less. And they have not submitted previously other application under the SBIR program. Regarding the technology profile, so the ideal profile, I'd say that this should be a technology novel that is backed by some preliminary indicators, preliminary KPIs that have been collected at lab scale, for instance. In terms of technology maturity, we're talking of technology that go from 3 to 4 in terms of technology readiness level. So let's say before the proof of concept stage, that have high risk technical challenges that have already been pre-detected, pre-identified. That they have a sound R&D plan for the next stages of development, and that know that nobody else has worked out something similar yet. And final point, that they have validated their product market fit. So this is really like, in a nutshell, what could be, let's say, the ideal candidate in terms both of company and technology for the NSF program. I'm not sure if somebody has questions before I share the floor with Berta, and Berta then is continuing with the NIH funding opportunity.
Yeah, so Adrian has a question. Go ahead, Adrian.
Actually, two questions. I was in the middle of typing the second one up. First one, so how much risk is appropriate? Obviously not zero, obviously not, this is a novel science and there's no way, but I've tried to engage with SBIR before, and sometimes when I got a rejection, well, only sometimes when I got a rejection, I got feedback at all, but some of the feedback amounted to, yeah, this has any risk whatsoever, therefore no.
Okay, so how risky should be, let's say, an application to be considered? I mean, I'd say, and normally what I say to our client is, if you believe that this could be copied, or I mean, if you think that this could be copied by any of your competitors easily, then I mean, we are far from the ideal point. If instead you believe that they will struggle a lot in order to get there, in order to get to what you are proposing, to understand what's the dynamic, the logic, the technicalities behind that, then I believe that we are on a safe road regarding particularly the NSF. So I'm not sure whether this might give, let's say, some visual examples like the coping likability of your solution, but it's a way, you know, to understand and to interpret whether it is risky or not what you are proposing. It's giving you.
And specifically the competitors as they are now, not, oh, what if theoretically there was a competitor who hired someone exactly like you and had made exactly your discoveries? No, it's the competitors who are actually in the market, right?
Yes. I mean, not somebody that potentially, I mean, is tomorrow is a genius that understand it all, and I don't know, was precisely working on the same topic as you were. Not, but I mean, it's that. I mean, if you are protecting and if you believe that what you're working on too should be protected, and of course, this is offering you. A measure also to keep, let's say, competitors away. Of course, the protection is taking some time. So before you get any, before you're granted with a patent, is going to, I mean, maybe there's going to be a couple of years from the moment you file it to the moment, I mean, you actually been granted with a patent. But at least this is, in the meanwhile, putting you, let's say, on a safer side, in terms of ownership, at least. Being you the first one and being you the one that felt protecting what you were working on to.
Okay, but this is slightly getting off topic of the risk, not the uniqueness. Like, sure, I can think of an idea nobody else has thought of before. What measures do they use for how risky is it? How likely is it to succeed, even if I'm the only one who's ever thought of it so far?
To succeed in the NSF, NSF SBIR funds.
Well, again, getting back to how much risk is appropriate. How do they measure risk? How does one quantify risk in terms that they care about? And according to that metric, what is the acceptable level?
Well, I mean, there is not really a scale in terms of degree of risk. I mean, back to what I was saying. I mean, it's not just about protecting the uniqueness. The IP is also, you know, keeping, let's say, competitors. Pulling them away in a sense. I just wanted to clarify that point. But I mean, the degree of risk, it's something that it lays in the typology of work that you are shaping in the. I mean, that there's also, I mean, a backup that is offered by KPIs that you are pulling together, and that ideally can create a ground in your favor in terms of evidences that you have generated with your own work, and for which you can claim an ownership, and at the same time is giving you a safe ground regarding the uncertainties that you are registering, that from one end can, of course, destroy your application if they verify. But on the other end, you know also what are going to be the measure to contrast them. And so, I mean, this is what it should work. I mean, of course, we're not proposing something that is entirely crazy. That's not the type of risk that is contemplated. Nobody wants to see something skyrocket that eventually, is not going to happen. But they want to understand that, there is something unique, there is something highly experimental, but on the other end, you have also put together some KPIs, indicators, and you have tools to contrast these variables in case they happen. So there is a degree of uncertainty because if there's a series of variables that are falling one after the other, they might represent a problem because they're going to slow down your activity. But on the other end, as you are thinking about them, you already are prefiguring an alternative way in order to achieve your goal and in order to get to the outcomes that you are presenting in in the project. And so,
That
I mean,
really did not answer
ideally,
my
you have.
question at all.
Okay, well, so we need to move this to
Anyway,
another.
moving along. Yeah, moving on to the second question. How broad is, say, the space topic? What all is accepted in there? Because I saw space, and well, my company deals in space stuff. What is acceptable? What is not in that sector? As an example of the kinds of things NSF funds and does not.
Anything.
Or do you know? If you don't, then it's okay. Just say you don't know.
I would say, Adrian, to answer your question, probably it would be best if you reach out and you show us your technology. We can see what were the milestones that you propose and what were the plan against those milestones, those risky milestones. Sometimes we have a project that is risky, but we don't have like a plan B to overcome those milestones. That's what we need to do when we present an SBIR. Maybe that help you. Maybe that help you in a short answer.
Yeah, because we're getting down to 20 minutes and there's other questions.
There are. Moving on from
so we'll put you guys together after this. So Gon, am I getting that right?
Yeah.
Do you want to ask your question?
Yeah, quick question. Sorry, I may missed earlier. So for the two cases you shared, I see both you did like more like administration work. Are those like opportunity you identified by yourself and then found those two companies, or they came to you for this administration work? Because you also mentioned you have engineering capability. And do you have any cases you can share, like you took some of the technical work rather than project management roles?
Technical work in terms of provision of any specific service or any, I don't know, acting as a subawardee burden in this project?
Yeah, so for these cases you shared, it's more like a project management, but you also mentioned you have engineering capability. Have you worked with any of the clients to do some technical work for the SBIR program to support their project?
Well, I mean, I haven't said we have engineering capabilities. We do have engineers amongst our team, but they are consultant. So basically, we are taking care of shaping the project idea, editing project idea, and also managing application as soon as they are finalized, as soon as they are funded. So we don't normally enter in projects providing specific service or complementing, let's say, actions that are part of a work program in such projects.
Is it safe to say that your engineers then are just advisors
Yes, we can say that. I mean,
Yeah.
within Inspiralia, we have the Inspiralia Group. We have companies actually that can possibly offer services, particularly with respect to IoT. That's not really what we do at Inspiralia US, but we have other companies that within the group that we have included and that were actually in contact with companies that were interested in SBIR opportunities, and then eventually they participated as SuperWords. But taking care of IoT specific task within the work program.
I see.
Because
Thank you.
that's the scope of the company.
Thank you.
Right, Jeremy, did you have a question?
I do not.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you. This is Berta, and I'm going to talk briefly about NIH. I work with Mirella, and I will explain a little bit about what we do. And I'm based in Miami, and what the NIH program is related to the National Institute of Health. Usually, this Department of Health is the U.S. Department of Health of Human Services, and is composed by 27 separate institutes, right? And let's say it this way, NIH is the largest biomedical research agency in the world. There's no other place where we can find so many technologies related to health, life science, and biotech like we have in NIH, right? So NIH has open topics every year, three windows. They have the same day every year. It's usually January 5th, September 5th, January 5th, April 5th, and September 5th. Now we are working with customers that want to submit projects for September 5th. And we encourage anyone that has a technology related to health to reach out, right? What NIH do? And they have different institutes. They work similar to the NSF. They have phase 1s, phase 2s, and phase 3. In the phase 1, they provide 306K. For the phase 2, they provide around 2 million. That is higher than in other agencies. And for the phase 3, they provide also some money for commercialization benchmark. This could be varied, it could be different, right? So there are some different things that can be done through SBIR and the NIH. One could be the clinical and non-clinical goals. For example, when a customer or a company wants to do clinical trials, and there are some specific agencies within the NIH that has those open topics. And what we do is we check your technology, we check what you do, and we check in which possible agency a good fit, right? What would be the candidate for the NIH? It's a little bit different from the NSF because, for example, they are looking for companies that are not so in early stage. It could be from 2 to 10 years, but usually for health or biotech, life science, the company needs to grow a little bit more. And therefore, they are looking for companies that are older in the market. They could have fundraise something between 0 or 10 million. Usually we don't recommend companies that have more money because then they could answer or ask why you want 300K when you already received some money for private funding. And usually there's startups that have been working toward in this field. The TRL, the technology readiness level, it should be between 3 and 5. Why? Usually what we want is that the company already have to do the testing, or they have generated the platform, they have done already previous work. What happens? Some of our customers come from NSF, they create the platform, they do the risky work with NSF, and once they want to try this platform, for example, they want to test it in animal studies or with humans, they go to the NIH. So I would say they are linked in this way. Usually the first step is to look for money through the NSF to do the phase 1 and phase 2, and sometimes those type of technologies, if they are related to health or to promote health, maintain health, or avoid let's say illness, then it's a good candidate for NIH. There are different institutes, as I mentioned before, the Institute of Cancer, that's one of the biggest one and the oldest one. The Institute of Aging, where there are different technologies related to how to age well, how to live longer, or how to promote your health, or how to not being so isolated while you are an elderly person. There are many different proposals that could fit into all these institutes. That's why I named all of them. I always say that it's kind of an open topic because in each of these agencies, there are many different topics where you can apply. So as my colleague Mirela mentioned before, it's a bottom-up. It means that if your technology is well designed, the idea is to see where could be the best fit. And that's what we do. What we do is once you come to us with your technology, we validate this technology for a specific agency, and within the agency, we check the possibilities of the likelihood for you to get the grant. And then we give you a validation, like a free evaluation of your project, and you see if you would like to work with us, right? So here also I have an example that is one that we also won an NIH. It was a speech technology from a company that is based in San Francisco. That was something for kids that has autism, and this technology was developed by them. We helped them to do all the steps to get this funding. And it was a very, very successful story of this company because they secure funding with us, with NIH, with NSF. And I also think they tried the Department of Defense, right? We also have a company that has a cessation platform to stop smoking that also won a phase 1 technology. And it was a very simple technology, let's say, but it was something different. So it's important to understand that it's good to try. Of course, if the fit is a good fit, but that's the idea. Many of you probably are asking yourself, is SBIR a good fit for me? Yeah, sometimes we don't know because we are so involved in our companies, right, that we don't see the trees that doesn't allow us to see the forest, right? So for me, I always say to the customer, reach out, send us your pitch deck free of charge. We are happy to check what you have. We are happy to tell you, yes, I think you can do it, or no, we don't think you can do it yet. Sometimes it's not about that your technology is not developed. Sometimes it's something missing in your team, something missing in your protection technology, something missing in the regulatory. That's why we also are here to give you guidance and to present a proposal that has all the pieces that the SBIR is looking for. And that's why I always say, and maybe answer some of your questions, when we are so involved in something we are doing, we lost a little bit of view. So it's good that somebody from outside tell us what maybe we are missing and we are not seeing, right? So that's, I think, what we do very good at Inspiralia, not only here, but also in Europe. We start working in Europe, as my colleague Mirela introduced, and since 2005, we have secured a lot of funding for companies in Europe, and since 2017-18, we came here to the US. So we will give you a validation to see if you are a good fit for SBIR. We will give you a validation to see which agency would be the best one and which topic we think you can fit. There are also some topics that are opening along the year in NIH specifically. And once you become our customers, we are always looking for those opportunities for you. And we reach out and say, hey, we know in 1 or 2 months, this opportunity is there. It's your profile. Sometimes it would be ERMI, DOD, NIH, NSF. Let us know if you would like to apply. And usually we reach out to you with 2 months before, because that's the time, at least the time we need to do all the steps necessary to be successful, right? And why I say that, there are some steps to be done. For the ones that are familiar with SBIR, probably they know, but there are many things that you need to know and you need to do before start the SBIR application. And it takes a while, right? So the SBIR government of research, we have a team dedicated to help you to do this while you keep on working on your technology, on your commercial activities. And this team will help you to do all the administration work, right? It's one step-by-step process. It takes up to 8 weeks. We need to have all these electronic registrations done before submission. So that's why we say at least 2 months, because some companies say, yes, I have this, I'm SBIR eligible, but we need to go through all these electronic registrations to make sure you are ready to go for the submission date. That's why I always say, don't try to submit a project 1 month before. Just make sure everything is in place before that. And this is our process. This is how we do it, right? We check all the solicitations, the agencies, and we evaluate what funding opportunities are there for you. We read through the solicitations. As you know, they change. Along the year. Every year is different. So if you have submitted a proposal in another agency and you would like to try again, reach out to us or to Eugene. He can reach to Mirela and myself, and we will be happy to help you understand if this topic is still available for you and if you have good opportunity on this topic, or maybe there's a new topic that is more aligned with what you do. Right. Then what we do is we work in the proposal creation and in the submission of the proposal. We write the proposal from scratch, and in NIH we identify that some customers like to write or they already have written something, and we also provide a revision service that includes like 10 hours of revision of consultant services, and it has also we help you to submit the proposal, and depending on how much help you need, we can also help you with the program management after the grant, right? So we have this opportunity to write from scratch, or we help you with consultant services to improve the proposal you already presented, right? And then we also have this last step, that is, once you get into the next stage in NIH, is called just in time. In NSF is the due diligence. We help you with all the documentation that you need to present not to lose the award. Sometimes they reach out and say, you are eligible, we think you can have the grant. And some companies don't know what they need to answer from the economical perspective, from some of the information they have. In Inspiralia, we have a team dedicated to do this part of the work, another team dedicated to do this part, and we have the experts work in the part of the creation of the proposal, right? We have, as Mirela mentioned before, people with different profiles that could understand your technology and could give you good guidance about it, right? And yeah, these are the Q&A questions. I guess you have done some of the questions before, but if you have any questions, these are our emails, and I will be happy to answer some of those questions.
Thank you, Berta and Mirela. So my first question is that the SBIRs have a requirement for at least one W-2 employee. So if I am self-employed, say I'm developing an application, I don't necessarily need to have another employee. And maybe at this point in time, I don't have the funding. I don't feel comfortable hiring somebody because I don't have enough money to support them long term. And so can you apply with the intent of hiring somebody?
Exactly. That's a great question, Eugene. What we always say, we need to have a W-1 employee at the time of award. Let's say we present the proposal, we present a team that will be dedicated for this specific project. And the W-1 employee could come in as soon as they reach out to you. You can hire the person or the personnel once you know you will receive the grant, right? But this is something that we want to say before to start the granting, because it's something that is going to be compulsory if once they decide to release the grant for you. So that's the idea, that you create a team. They don't need to be at the beginning W-1 employee, but at least once you receive the grant, with the date you will receive the grant, you need to hire at least one person to be part of the company, and you can pay this person with the money of the grant, right?
Okay. And so you say that you want people to reach out to you with their pitch deck.
Yeah.
And you'll do that free evaluation. How do you want them to connect with you? Do you want them to email you first, or can they just email you a pitch deck blindly? I mean,
as you want, we can do it through you. They can come
I
to
mean,
me.
not me. I'm talking about anybody that wants to engage with you. What would you prefer? Would you prefer a preliminary conversation before you get the pitch deck, or is it okay if they just email the pitch deck to you and say, would you please evaluate this?
Exactly, that would be great. If they can reach to us with the pitch deck, we can have a look, and then we will set up a meeting with them to understand the insights behind the technology. So we can understand, sometimes the pitch give us information, but it's nothing better to talk to the customer and understand where they are and what they want the funds for. Sometimes that's the clue. If what they want to do is aligned with what the SBIR will fund. Right? Sometimes there are customers that comes to us and say, hey, I want this money to do regulatory process. SBIR doesn't provide the money for regulatory, but they provide money for you to do some steps along the process that will guide you through the regulatory, and you will finally having the regulatory process done. Yeah? So yeah.
And will you advise these people? So if I were to come to you with a project, but I didn't frame it correctly for the SBIR, would you be able to reframe it so that it would be applicable?
Yeah, that's what we do. In reality,
Okay.
when we talk about the valuation or the validation of the project, it's not only saying, yes, you are good to go. What we do is, I think you should rephrase this way. I think the objectives or the milestones should be done from a different perspective. Answering the question before from Adrian, there's no better way to understand what he presented, to reach out and read what the way he presented. Sometimes it's not about the technology, sometimes it's about the wording or the risk that he presented and how he will plan to overcome that risk, how the milestones are described, if they are able to be measurable or not. Some people think I want to do this step, but they don't understand what could you give to the SBIR once you finish the step 1 and you want to move to the step 2, what they will have from you. And this is something that needs to be measured, something that you can measure, right? So that's what we do. It's not only writing, it's to provide consultant service, to provide advice, and to write in a way that is translated to the SBIR eligibility and the needs that the SBIR have in the market.
Okay. And please, if anybody has any questions, please chime in, raise your hand, because I'll continue as long as no one's raising their hand. So on your website or in your promotional materials, do you talk anywhere about how many proposals you've submitted? I mean, is it between, over 100 and less than 1,000, over 2,000? I mean, is there anywhere that people can see your experience as a company?
Yes, we have a web page, Inspiralia.com, www.inspiralia.com. You will find one that is from Europe and another one that is from the US. And there you can see a lot of success stories of different customers that start from scratch, just like a group of friends or a small company, and how they grow along the years working with us. And yeah, I will be happy to answer any question you have, and the web page will give you a good idea of what we do. And yeah.
Okay. So that was all the questions I had. Anyone in the audience have anything?
Thank you for listening. And yeah, I think.
Is there anything else you want to close with, Inspiralia or Berta?
Not myself. Yeah. And thank you for listening, of course. And I hope you like what we talk about today.
Yeah, and let me know if you want the link to the YouTube channel as a reference to this, so that I can provide that to you.
I will. Yes, please. Send it to me. Thank you.
Okay. Hold on a second. We just had somebody. Hold on, don't go yet. Alan, you just chimed in. Someone just checked in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alan, do you have any questions or anything? You're coming in late.
Yeah, no, I'm just coming in late.
Okay. All right. Well, then I'll just let you know. We're wrapping up now. So if you want the presentations or any of that information, Alan, please email me. And I don't have an email, so I don't know if you're commercial, federal, but you can send me a link. I can make the videos available to you. You can send a request for the videos because it takes a couple days to get them up on the YouTube channel because I have to get them
Sounds
edited.
good.
All right.
Yeah, hey, yeah, I'll just introduce myself real quick. I'm Alan Demmelmeyer. I'm with the 406 program office. I'm one of the lead program engineers over there for the construction delivery of some of our unmanned vessels, and been invited to this for a while. And we're trying to make the schedule fit better so that I can start attending. But
Okay.
look forward to trying to keep better track and be more involved. So thank you.
All right. Well, thank you. And so if you can send me a DoD safe link, I can send you the recording from this. And you can also go to our YouTube channel, which if you send me an email, I'll reply back and give you all that information.